Another helpful feature to be aware of in Vim here, if I open up my startup files here. So let's just say I open up a different file now, this early file. Maybe I open up yet another file here. I then come over to my telescope configuration. All right, so now let's say for whatever reason, I want to quit for the day. So I just quit out of here. Now, when I come back here, I can, of course, open up that initial file. But if I want to go back to the last file I was working on, well, I wouldn't want to have to open things up here and pick the file again and maybe search again. That's okay. I don't have to do that. Instead, I can use the jump history that's built into Vim. So what I can do here, I can either use the Ctrl+O shortcut. That'll jump me back to that very last file, the telescope configuration. Ctrl+O again comes back to, this is the early file. And then if I want to reverse, Ctrl+I will jump me back to the telescope configuration. And then Ctrl+I again will jump me back to that initial file. So you have a jump history. And if you want to see what that looks like, you can put in jumps here as the command. You'll get a listing of the various positions that are saved. There are different conditions under which basically a position is marked in the jump list. If you want to know what those conditions are, if you look up the help for the jumps command, here you can see details about Ctrl+I and Ctrl+O. And then if I put in jump motions, this will jump me to the part of the docs here that'll explain the various commands that will trigger a jump here. So the commands here that work with marks, as well as G, which goes down to the very end of the file, that'll trigger a jump entry. Or searching for something, of course, will trigger a jump entry. Paging through the search results will also trigger. And then, of course, you have moving around sections, paragraphs, and sentences. That's, of course, usually a rather big jump, if you will, and so that makes sense to put into the jump list. And then on the very end of the list here, you can see L, M, and H. Let me show you those, actually. So if I do capital L here, that jumps me down to the bottom. The cursor's down in the lower left. Capital M will put me in the middle, and then capital H puts me up on the top in the upper left there. And so now if I do Ctrl+O here, you can see I jump down to the middle, jump down to the bottom. If I do Ctrl+I, I move forward now. So when you invoke commands that track the jump position, they're added to the jump list, and I can show you that here. And so we're working on the help here. Looks like these are the lines here, 1027, 36, and 46. So, oh, and you can see our current positions right here. We're at 0. So if I were to set the line numbers on here in the help, you can see there's 1027 up above. If I grab the jump list again here, this will make more sense. So we have 1027. The middle was this line right here, which is 1036, and that's what we have right here. And of course, 1046 would be the bottom. That's 2 jumps below. So now, if I were to jump down here with Ctrl+O, you can see I'm back in the middle. If I grab the jumps again, now you can see the little arrow is on this particular jump here on the 1036 line, which is the middle. And so I could go one either direction. O would take me back to 1046, or I would take me to 1027. And so I think this is a very helpful feature to become familiar with. I actually like using Control- and Control-Shift-, so I wire those up to do the same thing, which is because I have familiarity with that inside of VS Code and other editors. So whatever it takes, I would suggest getting used to this jump list history, figure out how it works, and take advantage of it, because it can be incredibly helpful if you want to jump back in time to quickly open up something that you were working on, especially because I can quit out of everything here, open things back up, and now I can do Ctrl+O here and jump back to the last thing I was working on. Ctrl+O again, and there's the early file that I was working on. So I have a little jump history that's persisted then between uses of Vim.